Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 84 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
So good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You ready to drink some beer and talk about beer?
Definitely.
So wait, we talked earlier today, and we found out that today is a special day, and that inspired the topic.
A very special day. So, well, first of all, as you all may know, we are cynical and we hate everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we hate is the stupid, days, like International Something Day, National Drink a Beer Day, National Beer Day, National Craft Beer Day, National IPA Day. The list goes on forever. I feel like it's almost every day. But I noticed on Instagram today something trending, and that was International Stout Day. So if we're going to hate anything the least, I think it would be International Stout Day. And I was like, well, I guess we got to, since it landed on the day we're recording the podcast, we got to talk about it, and we got to drink some stouts.
No complaints there.
Jason's like, yes, yeah. He responded so quickly.
I didn't write, I hate that. I wrote,
yeah,
I love
surprisingly.
that. Okay, so today we're going to do the history of Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stouts.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go back as far back as you might suppose.
No, kind of an American craft beer thing.
Yeah. So, in honor of that, for our drinking beer segment, we both have some cool barrel-aged stouts. So, yes, I will... This is the drinking beer. So, basically, I introduce my beer. Steven introduces his beer. We give nose notes, cheers, and then give tasting notes. So,
You got a good one?
yes. Okay, well, I'm going to drink this one this week, and then I have another one for next week, because next Friday, I don't have to work. So we record on Thursday nights, and that won't be a school night for me, so I can drink a bigger beer. But I have an appropriately sized but powerful Bourbon Barrel-Aged Weekend. This is from Prairie Artisan Ales. So they basically take their... I think they just take their... I don't remember what it's called, but they take their Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stout, like the one they just make. And then they add chocolate, coconut, marshmallow, vanilla, and caramel. So they really dessert it up.
Nice. And they won with you before, right? I mean, they've...
Yeah.
Right, Bourbon Paradise or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, I really like their stout, so... Well, this is pouring the same as every stout that's every Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stout that's ever been poured. Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait, sorry, I forgot to talk about what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like you'd expect. It's looks like Coke. There's almost no carbonation, but it smells.
It's oily though. I can see it right
Yeah,
now. Yeah,
it's thick. Yeah, so it's 14.5%. So
nice.
It smells so good. It smells like
I can see him falling in love on camera.
Yes,
Yeah.
It smells like an Almond Joy in like a Milky Way bar got mixed together in a blender with a marshmallow. My only fear is it's going to be too sweet, but I could smell this all day. All right, I'm putting this down. It's also freezing cold because I just took it out of the fridge, so I'm going to let it warm. What are you drinking, Steven?
All right, so I have one we've been talking about for a few weeks now. This is Parabolita from Firestone Walker. It's a bourbon barrel-aged stout with vanilla, cocoa nibs, and sea salt. So they call it a salted caramel stout. It is 9.2%. It's in a can. This was the first of their vintage series, I think they call them, that was canned, which is pretty cool. And This is a 100 SRM beer, so that's like the darkest you can get, I think.
Really? On this
Yeah,
color
which
scale?
probably most of these stouts are probably.
Yeah.
But I like the cool little stats that they give you. This is batch number 1. I guess maybe
wow.
there's only one batch. I don't know how many batches there are. I don't know what that means, but this is batch number 1.
That's pretty cool. I love that it has salt in it.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like
Excited about that.
Mexican style stouts where they put the sometimes they do cinnamon, sometimes they do
Like ancho chilies or something?
yes, sorry, chilies. I could not think of it. But I feel like salt has not been tried very much in stouts, and if you do that like caramel, salted caramel angle, I think that could work.
Yeah.
I guess you're about to find out.
Yeah. So mine is dark too, but it has more of a thicker head on it, about a half inch of nice foamy head, really, really strong lacing up and down the glass. Oh, it smells really good. It doesn't smell like a bourbon barrel-aged stout though. Like it smells very chocolatey. Definitely like a ribbon of caramel there in the nose. Maybe like a hint of coconut and almost like a nuttiness, like almost a peanut butter smell to it.
Does it smell salty at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Like briny.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. No, it's not really like a briny nose to it. Like you would find like in an oyster stout or something. But no. Okay. I'm excited about this though.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. This is basically exactly as advertised. It tastes like fudge, marshmallow, caramel, bourbon, coconut, and then you do get a little alcohol burn at the end. And then the finish is just like, basically once the bourbon kicks in, like 2/3 of the way through, it just stays with you throughout the end of the finish. So for like a really long time, you taste bourbon. It's oily. It's like thick. On the thicker side, not too thick. And it definitely rides the balance between being too sweet and like pulling back. It's getting very close to the border of too sweet. It like walks up to it and puts its finger on it and then is like, and then it's like, never mind. But yeah, this is definitely a thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Prairie Artisan Ales wins again.
It's really good. Yeah, I'll have to look back in my history of what I've tried from them, but as far as their like bourbon barrel-aged stouts go, I don't think they've missed with me yet.
Now you haven't had bomb, right? You've had cherry bomb.
I had cherry bomb. I don't know if I've ever had unadulterated bomb.
That might be a good one for you to try.
Yeah. Oh, I want that. Just that mention of that cherry bomb.
I think I have one of those in my fridge.
I'm coming over. All right. So yeah, big thumbs up for me. How was yours?
Okay, mine is really good. There's not a lot of bourbon to it. It's very subdued. It's mostly just a lot of dark chocolate, a roasted coffee, like a sweet caramel coffee. You know, like a foo-foo coffee from Starbucks kind of thing. Like,
yeah, caramel latte or something.
Like it's coffee, but it's sweet. Yeah, so it's like, but it rides that balance of sweet and bitter really well. Like the coffee and the dark chocolate really balance the sweetness of the caramel. Definitely a little vanilla in there, maybe just a touch of raisin or fig, and then the salt is in the finish, but that's pretty subdued too. It's not kicking me in the mouth. It's there, but it's kind of hard to find. But
okay,
but it's a nice medium bodied beer, not too thin, not too thick. It's good. It's like a really easy drinker just because it is like that, like sweet coffee kind of. But yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm not going to give this a thumbs down. It's a thumbs up. Like,
okay.
It didn't blow me away, but it is a really nice drinker. Yeah.
It's solid, but not mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really showing the complexity of, its older brother, Parabola.
I think it was almost like
it's like a very, very, very nice version.
Yeah.
Like a very, very entryway into. This would be an entryway.
Okay. I like that. It's like a gateway beer into. It's like a gateway to Parabola.
Yeah, it's little Parabola. Yeah.
I guess that is what they called it. So.
Yeah. That's true. So.
All right. Cool. Thumbs up. I'll keep looking for one, but I also might just put in a Firestone order because if you live in California, you can just order beers directly from them. So I can definitely, and I can get two things that are quite hard to come by, which is Parabola and their anniversary mix. So I think I'll order those too, and then I'll drink them on the podcast.
Yeah, they released that the mix for the 26, and it sounds fun.
It sounds
That
very
the
good.
25 I drank was insane.
Yeah, I think that's you can't miss with those.
Like the way the flavors rise and fall throughout, and you taste like all the different beers in the one is.
Well, just
really
the way
cool.
they do it, where like they let people do the different mixes.
Yeah, they have the winemakers. They bring
Yeah.
the winemakers over and do it. Yep.
That would
cool.
be so fun. Could you imagine if you got invited to that and you got to make a blend?
In another life.
I know, right?
In some other life, I'm a pretentious wine drinker.
No, we're
I'm a pretentious sommelier that gets
to mix
asked
beer.
yeah.
Maybe if we have to get Steven, how's your progress going on
Oh,
studying for the test?
Not good.
Because I feel like if we got to level 3, maybe we could. Probably we'll never make it to level 4. I want to, but we probably won't. But
yeah, that's like
we'd have to like open our brewery.
like
but
impossible.
Theoretically, if we tried as hard as we could with all our effort, do you think we could get level 3?
Maybe.
And then we could email them and be like, "Hey, we're level 3s." They might be like, "Oh, you guys are pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can hang out with us."
Yeah, I think I don't know if I have the time or energy
I know, right?
to do that.
We gotta get to level 2.
I do really want to do level 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't even ordered my flashcards, so I've made 0 progress.
One of the things I do wish that the flashcards were built differently.
Yeah.
Because the way they're built, it's just the one side of the card and it has all the information. But I'd prefer if the name of the beer was on the other side of the card so that I could like look at it without seeing the name of the beer and then, see if I could get it right. So
like a
kind of
traditional
normal,
flashcard.
Like a true flashcard, right. But I'll have to like make something that covers up the name at the top and start testing myself. But yeah, it's overwhelming for sure.
All right, so that was drinking beer. Double thumbs up day. Always off to a good start. And next we have Postscripts, Beer News, and Storytime with Steven. Postscripts is when we fix things from previous episodes. Beer News is self-explanatory, as is Storytime with Steven. So I have...
I suppose they're like story times. What is that?
Yeah, but it's self-explanatory. I don't have to explain.
Yeah, that's true.
Steven tells the story. And actually, I want a follow-up from last week's, but we'll get to that. Because first, we have a postscript. I want to talk about, because we kind of talked about, I think we did some speculating about the number of craft breweries there are in the United States. So I got some real data from the brewersassociation.org. They have a lot of really cool stats and tables and charts on their website. And I looked, and what's pretty fascinating is if you look, I kind of zoomed in on the chart from 2005 to current. And if you look from 2005 to about 2009, the number of craft breweries in the U.S. stayed pretty stagnant. It went from 1,400 to 1,650, so like 250 new breweries. But then from 2009 all the way up to 2020, it rose a lot. So we went from 1,653 in 2009 to 9,025 in 2020. So a significant increase. And then if you look, it's just starting to taper off. So we're starting to plateau from 2020 to 2021. We went from 9,025 to 9,247. So I think we are probably hitting like full saturation, and we might see the number go down in the next year or so, like where it actually crests that big rise. But it's pretty crazy if you think about it that we're basically we have 6 times the number of breweries we had in 2009.
Yeah, I feel like basically, well, starting at like 2013, it went up like 1,000.
Oh, you're right.
Year, basically.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. Or like 900-ish every year.
Which is quite, that's pretty crazy.
Three breweries were opening a day.
Right? So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it when they update it for 2022. But I wonder if...
it definitely looks like it's plateauing. Like
yeah.
Obviously, the 20 to 21 was not a very big jump.
The slope of the line has significantly decreased.
Yeah.
But I would guess, maybe in 22 or 23, we might actually see a reduction. So we might see actually the number go down. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It does make sense that the market has definitely saturated over the last decade.
I saw a list of the top, I don't know how many, top 10, top 15, something like that, breweries to visit in Austin or the Austin area.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, half of them I didn't even know. I hadn't even heard of them. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many. It's insane. Like, you can't even stay on top of it.
And that's your local area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, the good thing is that basically anywhere you go in this country, you can find good craft beer.
Yeah. Okay, so next we have beer news, and I think we have a couple updates from Steven.
Yeah, so Vine Pair came out with their 2022 highest rated beer in every state list. Basically just goes off of Beer Advocate, state by state.
Okay.
For the highest rated beer with at least 100 ratings. And what's really interesting is that it doesn't really reflect the beer taste of the people in general, because mostly lower ABV beers are increasing popularity. Of course, like seltzers and smoothie sours and stuff like that are increasing in popularity. But the beers that make this list, a lot of them are high ABV beers. A lot of them are stouts, more complex beers. And I just think if you're looking at Beer Advocate ratings, like that's just what's gonna rate higher.
The kind of people that go.
You could make the same. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, the site is like self-selecting for the type of beer nerd that's using the site.
Yeah, I think you could do a highest rated beer in every state on Untapped, and I guarantee you it'd be a whole different list.
I would actually love to see.
Yeah, Untapped.
Like the same map, but with the highest Untapped score in each state.
Yeah, maybe you can find it, but
I wonder if does Untapped have an API that we can interface with? Then like download all their ratings into an Excel. Yeah.
Let me just. I'm gonna Google and see if there's the top rated breweries from the United States on Untapped. You know what? That's gonna be. It's gonna be the best smoothie sour from every state.
Yes. 100%.
Well, Vine Pair actually did a most checked in beer in every state.
Oh, that's interesting.
But yes, it's definitely much more of an IPA list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's very IPA heavy, which is very interesting. It's kind of like what people are drinking.
Did you see
what they go and drink?
Yeah, that's actually.
But it's not the highest rated beer.
But it's like, what are the people drinking the most of?
What are they going drinking and checking in? Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually fascinating. I'd love to look at like a side by side.
Yeah. In fact, I don't even know if there would be any other than Tropicalia, which is a Creature Comforts brewing beer from Georgia. That might be the only crossover. I mean, I'm going through this list quickly, but that's an IPA from Creature Comforts Brewing in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I see a lot of crossover other than that, but definitely the checked in on Untapped is IPA heavy. But some of the interesting ones from the Beer Advocate list, of course, are, and we'll actually end up talking about some of these, like Bourbon County brand.
Yep.
Coffee Stout from Goose Island Beer.
Did you see what Delaware is?
Utopia's Barrel-Aged Worldwide Stout, and I 100%
which Steven has just enjoyed on the last episode.
Yeah, the last episode. That beer was so good and got me so drunk in a 12-ounce bottle. That's the drunkest I've ever been on one 12-ounce bottle of beer.
17%?
17%. Yeah, no joke. I picked up a 120-minute IPA from the store the other day. That's going to be probably the next fastest beer to get me drunk on a 12-ounce bottle. I had no idea it was the ABV was that high on that beer.
I don't think they even put it on the bottle.
No, they don't.
Because it says if you go to the website, I think it's pretty variable. It says it varies between 15 and 20%, like per batch.
That's crazy.
Which is wild. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I don't know, I just didn't know it was that high. I didn't realize it. I mean, most triple IPAs, which it kind of is, I guess, sit more at like 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, it's a class of its own. It's like a strong ale.
Almost, yeah. It's almost like, it is like a strong ale. It makes me almost think of like Arrogant Bastard or
strong
something
ale,
like that.
barley wine kind of thing, yeah. which is why you can age it for so long.
Right.
But yeah, Medianoche coconut version.
I saw that Medianoche coconut. And did you see Louisiana is a double dry hopped Ghost in the Machine?
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that, though. I think I've had that. I like the original Ghost in the Machine,
really?
But, beer advocate people love their double dry hop stuff.
It's actually so funny looking at this list because you can see, like, the regional... It's almost like you can see the regionality. Because, like, King Julius from Treehouse, of course, is going to win in Massachusetts. And then Michigan, it's Founders Brewing with their Canadian Breakfast Stout. Abraxas in Missouri. It's like basically mostly IPAs and stouts.
Yeah. Bourbon Paradise got from Oklahoma.
Oh, so there you go. And it's
cool.
the ones you've heard of. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. These are the white whales for people. I love the atrial rubicite wins in Texas. From Jester King.
That's
I just
amazing.
love that.
Heady Topper in Vermont. Yeah, no joke.
They rule in Vermont. The Fremont Stout, of course.
And then what do you think? Take a wild guess what California is.
It was Pliny, right?
Pliny the Younger.
The Younger. Okay,
of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. So, definitely some IPAs. Very stout heavy. Every once in a while, like... You'll have a weird one like the Imperial Coconut Porter from Maui in Hawaii. It's still a porter stout, right?
Kansas is a barley wine.
Yeah, that's a wacky one. And a milk stout from Kentucky.
And then guess what, Stephen? Maryland is a Goza.
I know. When I saw that, I thought, I really want to go to Maryland. I like the people there, apparently.
They like Goza.
Yeah, it's a 4.3% beer.
Have you had that? Ghost Gone Wild?
No. I know. Now I'm all about it.
Put it on the short list.
Yeah. So anyway, definitely few weird ones in there, but mostly IPA and stout heavy. I think the atrial rubicite being the one wild ale. Maybe there's one other. Leroy Growers from Bullfrog Brewing is another wild ale. So yeah, nothing mind blowing here, but it was fun to kind of juxtapose that against the untapped list, which is just people checking in and drinking, which tends to be a little bit more IPA.
Mm-hmm.
These are the beers on the beer advocate list are the beers that you go and you wait in line for, and they have a beer release once a year of that one beer, So
it's the beer nerds. Yeah, I wish they there's actually a map where they like superimposed a picture of the bottle or the can, but it's too. Yeah. I wish you could get this like blown up in like to like a poster. That'd be kind of cool. And then you could like check them off, like put it in my garage and then use a big Sharpie to like put checks on each of them.
Yeah. Also, this is me, and we've complained about this before, but Blessed, which is the stout from Anchorage Brewing in Alaska.
Yep.
Over the last few weeks, beers have come up on Tavour from Anchorage, including Deal with the Devil, which is the barley wine stout mix, I think. And I refuse this $100 for a 12-ounce bottle.
Uh-huh.
I don't. Where is that coming from? Where, like,
it's hype.
How do they justify that? It's not even hype. All these beers on this list would have hype. Medianoche, every iteration of that beer is hype. They're not asking $100 for a 12-ounce bottle of that.
Yeah, I don't know where this started or how they did it, but Anchorage Brewing is like the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they seem... I don't know if it's just like Tavour taking advantage of it, but like I feel like they have gotten to the point where they can demand a price. They can demand like the highest prices in the craft beer universe, and they're getting away with it because when I have the app installed back on my phone now because I'm starting to run out of my bourbon barrel-aged collection. I'm on, this is my second to last one, I think. So I'm going to have to put in another order. But yeah, I saw exactly what you're talking about. The Deal with the Devil came up, $100, and it sold out same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you too, the beer shop, he's got like something, I can't remember what it is, some stout from Anchorage. It's not even one that I've heard of, but it's like $80-something for a 12-ounce bottle. And
for a 12-ounce bottle. It's not even a bomber.
Yeah, and the guy at the beer shop just keeps saying like, this is the most expensive beer I've ever seen. And I'm like, I don't know, just pop the top and drink it and see if it's worth it, because you're not going to sell this stupid thing.
Yeah, someone's gonna
Like,
buy it.
I don't know. It just was like, I don't know. It was like making me mad the other day.
Oh yeah.
And you've made this point before. It's like, I just drank that Utopia's Barrel-Aged Worldwide Stout. It was so good and so like complex, but this amazing drinkability with no alcohol burn. It was such a good beer. And I think that one cost me, I mean, it wasn't cheap for a 12-ounce bottle. I think it was like $16.
Right.
But there's no way that Blessed is 7 times better than that.
It's not. It maybe is like 5 to 10% better. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe not discernibly better for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just can't imagine dropping $100 on this one bottle of beer.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Because too, it's just like in my mind, I'm like, how many other beers could I buy? Like, how much beer could I buy for $100?
Well, that's the problem. It's the opportunity cost, because you could get like a bottle, even if you're paying like the exorbitant prices that Tavor is going to charge you for these. But you could get like a Parabola, you could get a Rusty Nail, you could get a Medianiche. That'd probably put you at like 90, and then you could get like a $10. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Or you get one 12-ounce bottle of Blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, don't believe the hype. Don't buy their stuff. Maybe the prices will come down.
Boycott.
Can we please talk some sense into people who are buying these stupid Anchorage beers, and just, if you stop buying them at that price, the price will come down. I promise. Anyway.
We'll get off our soapbox.
Yeah. Okay. I'm stepping down now. That was a fun list to come out. Also, I kind of wanted to mention, so at the beginning of the episode, we said today is International Stout Day.
Oh, right.
So that was founded in 2011. So this is the 11th year of International Stout Day. It was founded by Erin Peters, a.k.a. the Beer Goddess. That's the name she writes under. She's a beer writer, and she wanted to celebrate the style of stout, give it its own day, and just kind of make people aware of the style, learn about its history, and the story that the beers tell of kind of the people and the brewers. So the 11th year we celebrate this year of International Stout Day, the one national day we celebrate here at Attenuation Beer Podcast.
I respect it.
Because here every day is National Drink a Beer Day.
You know, it's so funny. I was like driving home today. I was like, it's cold, and I was like, oh, it's actually stout weather now. Like,
yeah.
I'll drink them in 100-degree weather. I don't care. But this is like the nicest. This is the best time to drink the Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stout, or the stout generally, because it kind of gives you it kind of warms you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wish I could say it was cold here. It's like cooler.
Oh, yeah.
It's not summer here. Not
I think
fall, but not summer.
It's 46 degrees right now.
Dang.
Yeah.
I will always be jealous of your cool nights.
The cool nights are nice. Okay, so I want to follow up.
Okay, follow up on what?
How was your magic show?
Oh. Man, I forgot I talked about that.
Yeah, it was at the end of your 17% worldwide.
It was good. I only had one failed trick.
Okay.
I have a trick where I make a marked quarter disappear, and it reappears inside of, basically there's like a box with rubber bands on it. You open that box, there's another box inside that with rubber bands on it. You open that box, there's like a little like plastic baggie with a rubber band around the top. You open that and the quarter is in there. It's actually really cool. Probably like one of the cheapest, like in terms of how much I spent on it, cheapest tricks, but it's just such a powerful ending, you know, when you find a quarter inside like 3 different containers that just disappeared. But yeah, the mechanism failed and did not work. But other than that, it went pretty well. Magic shows for kids are hard. You know, like I think we used to go to this magic shop occasionally, and the guy that owned it, I think he was the one that told me that, you know, for kids magic shows, it either has to, like, something has to disappear, something has to change colors, or something has to fly.
Okay.
And if it doesn't do any one of those things or more than, or combination of those things, they kind of lose interest. So yeah. Anyway, it's just they're the honestly the trick that got the most attention and laughs was the funnel. It like basically produces water out of nowhere.
That's fun.
So you kind of like put it under a kid's elbow, and then you have some other kid
like
pumping his
yeah.
other arm, and the water starts coming out the funnel. So the kids kind of went crazy with that one. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do it again. I haven't done that. I haven't like actually performed magic for an audience in a very, very long time.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad it went well. So the kids were overall impressed.
Yes, yeah, it was fun.
That's
then
awesome.
I went and like changed my clothes and tried to pretend I wasn't the magician.
That's great.
No, it was a fun party. So
nice. I'm glad.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the.
I wanted to know.
It was good. I needed my assistant, my sidekick.
You needed zombie ball.
Yeah, I needed a zombie ball for sure. That would have been a hit.
I wonder if I still have that. I should go dig through some boxes.
All
right, so are you ready to hit our main topic?
Let's do it. Barrel aging. Barrel aging? Is that our topic?
I think it's bourbon barrel aging, but we're going to briefly touch on... Because obviously bourbon barrel aging is quite new.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have like foeder aging, right, from the Belgians. All of that is like has a long history of like aging and fermenting beers in wood.
Yeah, that's not actually unique.
Yeah.
That's been going on for a very long time. But putting beer in bourbon barrels is actually quite new.
Yeah. So when did that start?
Well, what I thought would be kind of cool is if we talked about, we got to learn a little bit more about bourbon first.
Yeah. So one of the things I felt like one of those random facts that you think you know in the back of your head, I knew that there was something about barrels only being used once, which is why barrels are so like prolific now and pretty easy for brewers to get, because any barrel that's being used to make bourbon can only be used once. So we did a little bit of looking into that, and I'm pretty sure that's true, right? For a whiskey to be considered a bourbon whiskey.
Right. Yes, so all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. Bourbon is like a special classification of whiskey. And one of the first rule is, the first rule is it has to be made in the United States, so it's region locked. Very similar to like champagne or scotch. Like if you don't make it in the place where you have to make it, it's not that thing. Like Japan is really into single malt whiskey, it would be scotch. They follow all the rules of scotch, but they're not making it in Scotland, so they have to call it whiskey. But they'll call it. So it's close, but it's not the same thing. So bourbon has to be made in the United States.
Scotch style whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. Japanese Scotch style whiskey. Yeah. They don't actually go that far, but they could probably get away with saying that, because I know that's how people get away around some of it for some of the beer styles, like the old
Kolsch
Kolsch style. Yeah, but it doesn't actually have to be made in Kentucky. But 95% of it is made in Kentucky, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. And then rule 2 is why I think we have so much bourbon barrel-aged beer. It's because aging must take place in a new, charred oak barrel, and you can't reuse it. It has to be new. So what you can do, and what lots of people probably do, is they make bourbon the first round to the barrel, and then they make whiskey the second round to the barrel. But when you age it the second time, you can't call it bourbon. So there probably is a lot of these barrels available where they can't use it again to make bourbon. So they either have to sell it to someone to make whiskey, or all of a sudden there's all these weird beer breweries that are like, sell us your bourbon barrels. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a very, very large market now.
And then the other 3 rules are the mash must be at least 51% corn.
For it to be a bourbon?
For it to be a bourbon.
Okay.
And the whiskey cannot enter the barrel at higher than 125 proof. And it cannot be bottled at less than 80 proof. So 80 proof is 40%. So that's kind of your standard hard alcohol. Vodka is 80 proof. I think tequila is usually 80 proof. A lot of whiskey is 80 proof. Now you can get higher than that. If you get like cask strength, you could be looking at something that's like 100 to 120 proof maybe. But yeah. And then the last rule is, and I've actually found this kind of interesting, is that so they can barrel it at like 125 proof, but then if they want to get more bottles out of that barrel, they can dilute it, but they can only use water. So they can dilute it down to 80 proof and stretch that barrel across way more bottles. But they're not allowed to add color and they're not allowed to add flavor, which is really interesting because in the Scotch universe, you can add caramel color and it doesn't eliminate the classification of Scotch. But the more snooty, like Scotch connoisseurs, like frown upon adding caramel color. What's weird is the reason they do it is that they've done tons of like market research and there's a connotation that's not necessarily correct, but is unshakable in the public. So it doesn't really matter that like something, a liquor that's darker is better. So they'll add caramel color to make it appear darker in the bottle.
Gotcha.
But it's fake. Like it's not actually that color. So that's kind of why it's poo-pooed on. Yeah. But bourbon, you can't color it, which is pretty interesting. So those are the rules for making bourbon. And then because of that rule too, I think that's why you get access to a lot of these bourbon barrels, especially in the United States, because it's got to be made here. So yeah. So that's some background on bourbon. Okay, do you want to know the legend of how it started? Okay, the legend is there's two individuals who account for the story. Two individuals from Goose Island's brew pub. It's Greg Hall and Seth Gross. And they're hanging out with someone named Booker No. And Booker No is the grandson of the Jim Beam, who started Jim Beam. And apparently they took an empty bourbon barrel, they put spring water in it, and they rolled it around. I don't know how long. And then they emptied it into like glasses with ice and basically drank like bourbon tea, like bourbon barrel tea. And then that supposedly, yeah, it actually does sound kind of good. Supposedly, and this is from Beervana blog, an article from 2021, that was like the seed. That was like the inception idea that was planted. And then it was only a matter of time before they were like, wait, let's put beer in one of these bourbon barrels.
Yeah, so what I'm reading too is that Greg Hall wanted to brew a special beer for his 1000th batch of beer. Okay. And Larry Bell from Bell's Brewing had done this like special 1000 batch beer called Bell's Batch 1000 Ale. And it was just a really good, like strong ale. And he just wanted to do something interesting for this 1000th batch. And he had this idea from hanging out with this guy from Jim Beam. Hey, let's put this beer in bourbon barrels. And basically the Bourbon Barrel-Aged Stout did not exist. Like that just wasn't a thing. And he basically had to make it a thing. So he made that beer, aged it in bourbon barrels, and he called it Bourbon County Stout. Basically created a new style. Changed craft beer, modern craft beer forever.
And what year was that he did it the first time? Was that, I think...
1992.
Okay, 92. So the next part of the story is kind of cool. In 1995, they bring this beer to the Great American Beer Fest. So dang, Great American Beer Fest has been going on for a while.
Long time, yeah.
1995.
This year was the 40th year.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess I never did the math. So it's the same age as me, Steven.
Yeah. So 82.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also crazy, right? But you see why that the beer festival kind of was started by the Home Brewers Association, because that's the only people that.
Yes, that was.
There weren't breweries to come, but I think just having a competition of people bringing their beers.
So I was 13 when this happened. So they bring this beer to the Great American Beer Fest, and what happens, Stephen?
It gets disqualified because it doesn't fit into any category.
The category doesn't exist yet.
I would think you'd have to enter it as some sort of category, and maybe they entered it as, I don't know, I figure there's probably some sort of stout category, but it didn't fit the category, and they disqualified it.
But what happened?
But everybody wanted to drink it.
Everybody wanted to drink it. And notably, some familiar names wanted to drink it. Like Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewing really liked it.
Yeah. Let me, side note. So Great American Beer Festival, the Brewers Association, they have always been a little bit slow on the adopting new styles. And if you think I think the last year they actually had a in-person festival. So when did we go? 2019?
2019.
I think that was the first year they actually had the juicy IPA category or the hazy IPA category. And it had been quite a few years before that they were like the most popular thing people were drinking. And again, you had breweries with the smoothie sours or the fruit sours or adjuncted stuff, and those had long lines and they were running out of them, but there's no category at the beer fest for them. So anyway, this is kind of
it makes me think of another Star Wars reference.
What's that? What Star Wars reference?
It's like when Anakin, they let him on the Jedi Council, but they're like, but we don't give you the rank of master. It's like, yeah, you're an amazing beer style. We see you, but we're not ready to recognize you yet.
We see you. We know you're popular. Okay, you obviously belong here, but not quite getting the full recognition. So
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the Star Wars reference.
No problem.
Love that. So that's kind of the background. But you have these very important brewers, very excited to drink this beer.
Yes, they definitely. It might not have been recognized at the beer fest, but the brewers that were there took notice, and it was.
Yeah. And actually, the beer fest, they did give it an honorable mention. So they disqualified it. It couldn't win an award because it didn't technically fit into any style, but they did give it an honorable mention. So they did give it a nod and said, okay, we see you. This is definitely something of interest. And then they had to create the category later. But he had made something very, very special, which is really cool. And it was probably really cool to get feedback from all these other brewers that were telling him how special it was. So
it's funny. Some of the research we did, we read some articles in this Gear Patrol article that's talking about bourbon barrel-aged stouts. They did make a note here that says, while Hall is credited with the proliferation of the bourbon barrel-aged stout, do you know who the first person to put dark beer into a spirits barrel stateside was?
Jim Koch.
Yep.
Sam Adams. And you know that a little bit of that original beer ends up in Utopias.
That's so cool.
Adds another layer of cool to that beer
that we didn't get to drink.
Yeah, I maybe next time we'll just have to strong arm our way in.
We'll do. You know what? Next time we go, we're just gonna sacrifice 30 minutes and a lot of uncomfortable pressing against other humans. Yeah. But you and me are very similar. We don't like crowds.
I don't like pressing up against other people.
And what I really don't like is chaos. Where there's no rules, there's no order. Everyone just gets to push, and whoever pushes the hardest wins. Come on. I didn't like that. So I still haven't written my angry letter to Sam Adams, but maybe I'll start after this episode.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens? The seed has been planted.
Yeah, so let's see. I think the next big release is 2002 from Founders.
Kentucky Bourbon Stout.
Another very, very highly ranked.
KBS.
Yeah,
you know your pretty famous beer week, and you just go by the initials. Yeah. What's crazy is KBS and Bourbon County, they're still some of the highest ranked, which is kind of crazy because they're the first. But this stuff really isn't that old, which is kind of blowing my mind. All of this happened in my lifetime, so I'm huge. I love bourbon barrel-aged stouts, but they only existed now. If I was born 50 years ago, I was born 50 years ago. If I was born 100 years ago, who knows if I would have ever tried this stuff.
Nope, you'd be like macro lager all the way.
Yep.
But yeah, 2 years later, so in 2004, by 2004, that beer was the number 2 ranked beer on Beer Advocate. The KBS from founders. This other one, which we really need to try, is the Dark Lord Russian Imperial Stout from Three Floyds. That released in 2004. That one's brewed with vanilla, beans, Indian sugar, and coffee. So, I don't know, you might say that was like your first adjuncted, heavily adjuncted stout.
No, I think it may have been.
Because was definitely weird for that time. Oh, and I love that it says they released it on what they called Dark Lord Day in 2005, and that was like one of the first times where you had a beer released like on a single day, and you had people waiting in line to get it. And
yeah, which is like very common now. Yeah,
like it's so cool because I think there's like the phrase "there's a first time for everything," and you kind of just forget that like it really is true.
Yeah,
and there was a first time where people were lining up.
Oh, I know. In the days of like now,
beer.
where like everything is hyped and there's Instagram and
everybody knows about stuff. Can you imagine like getting the word out about a beer release and having enough people be excited about your beer release
in 1995 or like 2002?
Yeah, so cool. What's crazy though? Okay, so are you a Swiftie? Is your wife a Swiftie?
I have no idea what that means.
A Taylor Swift fan?
Oh, my wife has been listening to the new album on repeat.
She holds the top 10 spots on the Billboard top 10. Like,
does she
holds
really?
all 10 of them. Like, it's never been done before.
That's incredible.
So I was talking to a coworker about this. Like, imagine the feeling of releasing an album. She released it at midnight. Okay, and then 3 hours later at 3 a.m. she released another 7 songs or something. Imagine knowing that when you release that in the middle of the night, that people are just are waiting, awake, ready to listen, and then you're just breaking all these streaming records and stuff. So like, imagine brewing a beer knowing that people are going to be lining up to buy it the next.
It's pretty cool.
Release it. Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know.
There's got to be some high that comes out.
Yeah, of that. It's like there's this reverence. I think it's captured in like in the newer Russian River, like how they built their cool ship. They built like a chapel for it.
Yeah.
I like that's not wrong. That's like it's the perfect like physical manifestation of what's happening in that room. That it's like holy. Yeah.
It's definitely my church for sure.
Heck yeah. But yeah, that is pretty cool. Like when they're brewing, a lot of breweries down when they're just brewing like Pliny the Younger or they're brewing, KBS or anything, and then like or Dark Lord, and like just knowing that like people are gonna line up for this.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Because like I'm sure in the back of their minds they think maybe no one will show up this year. But like they like also know that that's obviously not gonna.
Well, by now they're dissuaded of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I would think every time. Like, probably people this year, nobody's coming. So this guy at Goose Island, Matt Brindleson, he went to Firestone to create, which is kind of cool because there was a crossover because I like saw his name in this article, but then I also saw his name in the 26th anniversary, the release where they told what beers were in the 26th anniversary ale from Firestone. So he's still working. So he's been at Firestone for 21 years since going over there from Goose Island in 2001, and he's still working on their barrel program.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So is he who we have to thank for like Parabola and stuff like that?
Apparently, yeah. He went over and started their barrel program. So I guess so.
That's awesome.
Like, dang, dude. We love you.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah.
We love your work.
And now it's just common. Like, now they put everything in bourbon barrel-aged. Oh, I like that they had a list of bourbon barrel-aged stouts to try. We have pretty good coverage on this list, even.
All right, we still need that Dark Lord from Three Floyds.
But they recommended Three Floyds Dark Lord, which neither of us have had.
We'll have to add that to our White Whale
list.
Now.
But they recommended Goose Island Bourbon County brand stout, which we both had. And you had like the special. You had a couple.
Well, I had the cola version.
Okay. Yeah. Black Ops is on the list. Obviously, directly inspired.
Yeah, Garrett Oliver.
That's
inspired
pretty
by.
cool. So he drank Bourbon County, and then I don't know how many years later he made Black Ops, but that's pretty awesome. And then Revolution Brewing, their Death Star, but what you really want is their cherry version.
Death by Cherries.
Yes.
Okay,
Cane
Jason.
Brewing, cherries are the best. Cane Brewing, A
Ooh,
Night to
this
End
is-
All Dawns, which was Steven's. Was that your favorite of the beer fest?
It's my favorite stout of the beer fest.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got gold.
Well, actually,
Let's see.
I don't know. It was a toss-up between that and the Otra Noche,
Oh, okay. Otra Noche was something else.
the banana.
Yeah, that was something else. But yeah, this Night to End All Dawns won gold in 2014, silver in 2018 at Great American Beer Fest, and then gold at World Beer Cup in 2016. Then, of course, they recommend Firestone Walker Parabola, which you loved, right?
I love that beer.
I think that's one of my favorites, too.
It's very, very good. And I still think it's approachable for, someone like me. I'm still learning to like this and appreciate this style, but man, just go and drink one. I don't know. Just drink it when you're in this mood to like really just love craft beer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not always in the mood to just like have to sit with a beer and appreciate it and think about it. But sometimes I really am in that mood. Like when I'm really in that hobby mood. Are you like that?
24/7.
You're always in the hobby mood.
I like.
You
The
don't
thing is,
fall
I
out of it,
don't.
like-
I don't like to drink. Like the only reason I drink all these fun beers is because I can drink them virtually with you. I don't think I
Okay.
would ever drink one of these. I do occasionally by myself, but it's not the same. But yeah, if someone comes over and I have a good barrel-aged stout and they're a beer person, we're drinking it. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Well, so like I was in Idaho with visiting my brother,
Mhm.
and we went to a brewery in Twin Falls, Idaho. They had that was kind of one of those, we talked about this last week, one of those places where they have their own beers on tap,
Mhm.
but then they also have this awesome list of other breweries beers, and then like a really awesome bottle list too.
Yeah.
So I really liked the beers that they had on tap. So I'd already had some of those, and it was just one of those things where I'm in a setting where like I'm with friends and family, I'm drinking beers and thinking about them and trying these beers from this new brewery I've never been to, and then I see that they have Parabola on the list, and I'm like, yeah, I want to drink that. So I'm just in this like very craft beer mood of wanting to try new things or expand my horizons and also kind of get drunk. And Parabola will do that for sure. And it was such a cool experience. It was just so fun to drink that and talk about it and kind of pass it around the table, let everybody taste it. And that's the kind of experience that you can have with a beer like Parabola, where you just taste a million things while you're tasting it.
Yeah, that's the most fun by far. Is like, because like my brother, it's kind of like the same story basically. My dad and my brother-in-law enjoy good beer, but they're not like in it to a level where they're reading Beer Advocate reviews in the grocery store, you know, like on their phones, like I am. But
who does that? Awkward.
Yeah, two people on this podcast do. But they'll drink it and appreciate it, so it's fun just to bring, you know, when we get together, I'll bring whatever I have and crack it open and just kind of watch them try it and see if they like it. It's really fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, and like I said, these bourbon barrel-aged beers are, I don't know, they just make it even more fun because they're just so complex. Mm-hmm. So you get to really sit with them and think about them and taste a bunch of different things. It's pretty cool.
There's two more on this. There's two more on this list. This one you got to try, Steven. Toppling Goliath does a Kentucky brunch brand stout.
Yeah.
And you love Toppling Goliath.
I do. I've never had a stout from them.
I know, me either. It's very highly rated.
Yeah.
And then I was flattered because...
Unless we had... Well, I won't say I've never, but definitely not memorably. Or I don't know if I even tried this, but I think you probably had Morning Delight from them.
Oh, actually I did.
Very first year bourbon, the beer festival.
Do you remember I tried Morning Delight? Is that from... That's Toppling Goliath?
Yeah.
And then do you remember... I don't remember where he directed us, but I remember we thought it was so cool. he was like, "Oh, if you guys like stouts, you got to go try this one. Like no one knows about it yet." Do you remember what he recommended?
No, I had no idea.
Me either. But he sent us to some random brewery, and they actually had a tremendous stout. Like, it's probably discovered at this point, but I felt like that was like one of our earliest experience at the beer fest, and I was like totally enamored with like how cool the beer fest was, and I was like, wow, we're like learning about cool beers that no one knows
stuff.
about.
Yeah.
It was not necessarily true, but it felt like that at the time. We were like those kids we saw on the elevator.
This is my ticket to
thinking
heaven.
They were going to, they felt like they were going to heaven. That's how we felt the first year too. So, and then my taste was flattered by this article because the last beer they listed is my favorite beer in the world, Bottle Logic Fundamental Observation.
That's a good one.
Did you get to try that? You did, right?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah. I like it a lot.
I
think it was I loved A Night to End All Dawns.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Otra Noche. I loved the Fall of Umbuzu.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was...
And then Fundamental Observation, I think, came in fourth on that, sort of.
The fall of...
in the rankings.
Yeah, that was something special.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
But as far as like a barrel-aged stout they make every year,
yeah,
I love Fundamental Observation. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a pretty fun article.
Are you drinking a big stout next week, you said?
Yes.
All right. Well, maybe I'll drink something really fun next week, too. Because I have a cellaring stout that I could drink with you.
Okay. We'll do big stouts.
We'd just be smashed at the end of the episode. So, preview. Sneak peek.
Gosh.
We're getting smashed next week.
Yes, because I will have Friday off, so won't be a school night.
Yours is a big bottle, too? Or
yes, I have a Medianoche, but it's like
okay.
It's not a full bomber, but it's not a 12 ounce. It's like a weird... It might be a full pint. It might be 16 ounces. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's 14%.
Yeah, that's no joke.
I'll drink that next week.
All right, well...
Is that an episode?
We love bourbon barrel-aged stouts.
And
you think I would ever say that?
Wait, say it one more time. I love.
I love bourbon barrel-aged stouts.
We did it. Wrap the podcast. It's all over. The whole podcast was just a plot to get me to get Steven to like
goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But see how much fun did we have at the beer fest now that you can drink all those?
Yeah, it was a totally different experience.
Just because you don't get all those in one room. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and honestly, like thinking about the beer festival, if I was just like, I'm not going to drink any stouts because I don't like that style, what would I be drinking?
Well, there's a lot of good IPAs.
Yeah.
They kicked really fast, though, because we basically got torn in this weird direction where, like, we try to beeline to all these barrel-aged stouts that kicked really fast. And then by that time, we tried to circle back to get some of these IPAs that were very highly rated. They were already kicked, too. So...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about, and those are the two styles that people are not only one highly ranking, but also drinking.
Yeah.
You know? So it makes sense, but yeah, I mean, I could have been chasing good IPAs.
Steven,
too, but
3 sessions next year.
Yeah, 3 sessions. All 4.
We'll dedicate 1 to IPAs, 1 to barrel-aged, and then 1 to anything we missed.
Okay, you know my goal? Did I tell you my goal of, like, getting media access next time?
Oh, yeah. Hey, we're a podcast.
I know. That's what I think we might qualify.
We have, like, 150 listeners.
Yeah. If we qualify, then we'll go media access.
What does that get us?
I don't know. It gets us access into the beer festival.
Do we get in early?
And we get Wi-Fi.
Oh, it'd be worth it just for the Wi-Fi.
We get the Wi-Fi password.
Oh, that Wi-Fi. Your phone will not work at the beer fest.
Yeah, you get the Wi-Fi password. You get... Well, the glass is different.
Ooh.
Remember the blogger that we talked to? We stopped and talked to. Her glass was different than ours.
Oh yeah, we saw some successful.
We saw Instagrammers.
Successful beer influencers. We don't make that list, Steven.
Yeah, but her glass was different, and it was because that was the media glass.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we qualify for media access. I looked briefly at the qualifications.
Okay, we're going media next time.
Yeah, we'll get like the cool badge and
3 sessions media.
We'll have to really make sure we like actually record some stuff.
Hey, we recorded last time.
Yeah, we recorded, but it didn't. Like, we'll have to get a little better equipment so we can actually hear.
We need a Patreon for that.
Okay.
I don't have any
Start
money for
that up.
equipment.
All right.
All my money goes to craft beer. All right, we gotta wrap it. We're having too much fun. This is what happens when we both drink bourbon barrel-aged
I know,
stouts.
yeah. And it gets really crazy. Nobody can rein the other one in.
It's gonna happen next week too. All right, so this has been.
Stay tuned. We're just gonna keep drinking really high.
Yes. Now that I have Steven fully over to the dark side, I'll never let him go. So, Attenuation Podcast on Instagram. Follow us. Steven posts most of the good pictures. I post occasionally. I took a picture today. I'm gonna post.
Oh, nice.
And then contact attenuation@gmail.com. You can email us. And then, of course, whatever you're listening on, like, rate, subscribe, 5 stars,
follow,
4.5 stars,
thumbs up,
recommend to your friends, you know, all that good stuff. And this has been episode 84 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
That's me. Happy International Stout Day.
Happy International Stout Day. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Cheers to Aaron. I'll see you next week.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!